Hello everybody, my name is Aceface. Today I'm going to be showing you guys a fit for T4 Abyss that is pretty cheap. It costs a little bit less than 500 million. It costed 590 million when I bought it day before yesterday, and it is made to do them pretty fast as well. It does them maybe in 10 to 12 minutes. This is made for Omega clones. It's not made for Alpha clones, so just so you know that. I think an Alpha clone will be able to get by, but I think this is a lot more suited for Omega clones just because of the increased DPS Omega clones get and the more tank Omega clones can get. It's mainly DPS, so due to the DPS constraints of Alpha clones, I think it would be better for them to just go for T3 Abyss. But this is like a direct upgrade, you could say, of the previous fit I've shown for Alpha clones, the T3 Gamma filament Gila. So this is then a T4 Gamma Gila. This is basically very similar in design of the fit. It's a passive fit using the same, almost basically the exact same fit, you could say, with a thermal resistance amplifier, shield extenders, and one shield power relay. Now, the main difference is that, okay, one is I'm an Omega clone, so I have more skills, more DPS, more tank, mainly DPS increase, but also a tiny bit more tank. And also that we're using faction modules. So before I was only using Tech 2 modules right here. Now we're using some Caldari Navy ones, and then also Caldari Navy over here. We're also using Tech 2 rapid light missile launchers as well as Tech 2 drones, which gives us a lot more DPS. So that's really nice in that regard. So this is made to do then the T4 Gammas. It does them really well. Marshal waves, no problem. I've encountered them multiple times. It's absolutely no problem whatsoever. It can be killed by a marshal wave, but the thing is, all you have to do is pilot right and you'll have no issue whatsoever. Now, the key is when it comes to the marshal wave, keep it a range of over 70 kilometers. Take out the arrestor marshals first because they do explosive damage, and explosive resistance is your lowest damage type here in these sites. Then you'll be all good. Another thing is that I'm using very basic implants, not expensive implants. You can see these O3 implants right here. They are included in the fit, so they're included in that price tag I was talking about, under 500 million. But they're very nice. They give you a little bit extra shield capacity and recharge. Really nice to have them. Okay, so let's go here. First wave, and it's very similar piloting how I was using the Alpha clone T3 Gamma site Gila I was using before. Now you can actually go for T4 electrics and get some very nice active tanks there, and do, instead of having a shield power relay, you could even have 3 drone damage amplifiers. But the thing is, to achieve that level of tank with 3 drone damage amplifiers, you do have to bling quite a bit. It's still possible, but you do have to bling quite a bit. I think that the Gammas are very good, at least for new players to the Abyss or newbies to the Abyss, because first off, you don't have to spend as much ISK on this passive fit as a typical like a active fit I would use for electricals. In electricals, I would use like the Pithum C-type medium shield boosters, and even then, those are pretty expensive modules. Each one of them, now the prices are going up and down all over the place. They have at one point gone for 60 million, but they now, at least at the time of filming this video, they're going for 90 million to almost 100 million, depending on time of the day, and they can go for very expensive prices. Now here, we're going with a pretty cheap fit, like relatively speaking, compared to a electrical active fit I would use, because these shield extenders right here, they're not extremely expensive. They cost 30 million each. This A-type thermal amplifier goes for the 12 million, I think, like that. The reason I'm going with a thermal amplifier is because on the marshal wave, the marshals, they do thermal damage, except for the arrestor marshal. The arrestor marshal does explosive damage. That's why I want to take them out first, because we do have the lowest resistance in the explosive department. Or not the lowest, but I mean out of the thermal and the explosive, is lowest in the explosive. And also it is in fact the second lowest resistance after EM. So that's why you always just want to send drones on the arrestor marshal, keep range over 70 kilometers, and you're good. That's also a reason why I'm going with a drone link augmenter right here, because you have some sick drone control range with that as well, so you'll have no problems assigning your drones on the marshals when you're keeping a range right here. But we tank no problems. This has a really good tank, and not only do we have a very good tank, we also have a really good buffer as well. We have over 400 EHP per second, I believe it was, to abyssal entities. One thing to keep in mind is in the Abyss, you have also predominantly a thermal damage type coming from the NPCs. Like this guy over here, he does a bit of thermal, I think, in kinetic. Yeah, so you have thermal and kinetic. Triglavians do a lot of thermal damage. Concord does a lot of thermal damage. So that's also also another reason why I put this thermal amplifier right here. It is a very useful module because of just the amount of thermal damage that you take from abyssal entities. Also, a good thing about this fit is it's nuke proof, so they're very simple waves, so that's why I'm just going to be directly going to the bioadaptive caches. So they're going to essentially slow my site completion time down because they will be like, you know, making me neutered out, making me my afterburner not working at all. So that's why I would go then for the newts as well as the webifiers in the sleeper wave, just because it's very annoying when you can't use your afterburner. You go very slow, 300 meters a second. This is really reliable. I like this. It's the active tanks are very nice because you can overheat them, so you always have that ability. Here, if I were to go under, like, might lose my shields, they're not going back up again unless there's like one little frig on the field. I'm not coming back up again. That's just the nature of the way the shield recharge works. They just, if they go down, it's very difficult for them to go up because they have their max recharge like 30%, and then the recharge then goes down until it's basically almost nothing at 0%. So it is like, you don't want to make mistakes here, but it's hard to make mistakes here. If you did make mistakes in an electrical site, you could always overheat the booster, go crazy like that. So that's also another thing. But on the other hand, you also have to remember though that doing the gamma filaments here, the filaments are also cheaper. At the time of making this video, Raging electricals go for 14 million ISK. This Raging Gamma that I'm doing right now only goes for 7 million ISK. So basically half the amount of filament cost is going on right here. And in fact, I earn about, I would say 100 million ISK an hour doing this. A little bit more sometimes. Depends a little bit on the luck. A lot of the ISK you get from this, doing this, in the filaments. It's not really a whole lot in the 0-point condensate and that kind of stuff. It's a lot of it is from the filaments, because when you're going to T4s, you can actually, it feels like there's a higher likelihood that you can get, like generally speaking, you will get more of these T5 and T6 filaments, like higher tier filaments, and those go for crazy prices. Like the T5, if you were to strike the jackpot and get a T6 electrical, you can get 50 million like that, just just from one of those filaments. 20 million from an exotic and 25 million for a T5 electric. So it's a lot of ISK to be had from the filaments. That is really something to have, and also you can get some good mutaplasms from time to time. It's just a bit of RNG, but I would say on average about 100 million ISK an hour, maybe even more if you're a little bit lucky. Yesterday, for example, I was using this ship and I got about, I think it was 200 million ISK from one of these sites, because I got one of these medium disintegrator specialization books. So what I'm trying to say is it's a lot of RNG based, but I think this is a very good platform to earn some ISK in highsec and not really have to worry too much about, you know, having an extremely expensive ship, but also having something that is pretty chill. You could just do this while you're talking to your friends on comms. You don't have to like stress too much about this. Obviously, if you're going to do stuff like frigate abyss and that kind of stuff with friends, you would earn a lot more than this, but this is a good activity for the people who want to just do a little bit of like a kind of solo style gameplay, or can't be bothered to have to coordinate with a bunch of people. And also, generally speaking, it's very relaxing. And you can see here we got a T6 filament. Unfortunately, it was not a electrical one, but if I feel like there's an equal chance, I'm pretty sure there's an equal chance of getting all the different types of weather effects. So this may as well could have been an electrical cataclysmic, and it would have been 50 million just straight up there. So that's something that you can just see right here, that there's you can get some good loot if you're lucky right here. And we even got our filament back as well. So it's like we got all the money back from the filament as well, and we can do another site here too. So that's just really great because, you know, the gamma filament, we can do it again. It's really nice, really nice. And that's something I've been leaning towards recently. I've been doing a lot of experimenting in these gamma filaments, not because you can do them a lot faster in the electrical ones if you bling, but the thing is that's so nice about the gammas is that you don't have to go extremely expensive to get a good tank, and also just the filaments are just so cheap, so it feels chill in that regard, that if you don't get a good loot drop, your net profit is still going to be pretty decent. It's not going to be pretty decent. It was something that would be even better would be go to something like darks or firestorms. The filaments there cost less than 1 million each, so it'll be really good to do those. but I find it quite difficult to do them in a solo cruiser, especially if you're going on the cheaper end of things. I'm sure there are ways to do it. I've seen people do T3. The guy Torvald Uruz, he's a famous Abyssal YouTuber. He's done like T3 Darks in Orthrus. I've not seen people do solo T4s in a pretty cheap fit though, because his Orthrus he was using was only worth like 200-300 million. So that was pretty impressive right there. Okay, so we'll take out the strike grip right here. Just keep in mind, when you see them yellow like this, that means they are going to try to attack your drones. You do not want that to happen. Don't want that to happen. All right, take out this one. And something that also, when it comes to running this, we're using an Afterburner. I can't be bothered to use an M2. I just hate using an M2 in the Abyss. I always end up forgetting it sooner or later. And generally speaking, I've never found it to be particularly fast at speeding up things, because it just takes an inefficient route. Like, it takes everything directly towards the transfer conduit. Instead, I could go maybe to like this one right here and then save a bit of time, because I would then, sort of, it wouldn't have to just directly go here. I'd have to go here and then wait for it to pull everything here. I'll just go here, and then on my way here, I'll get it on the way here, sort of for free, you could say, from a time aspect ratio. I know a lot of people like to use M2, so you could definitely use that, but me personally, I don't like to use that. So then sometimes if they're enemy NPCs, they die very quickly, then if you go like I'm doing right now, just directly approach an extraction node, then you will waste a lot of time if you kill everything, kill everything directly, and then just like, oh, I'm just going towards these extraction nodes and everything is dead. You're going to waste time like that. So sometimes it can just feel like a waste of time, and many times I'll just skip going to extraction nodes if they're too far away, like the previous wave. I just completely skipped going towards it. I couldn't even be bothered to take that. So it's a bit of how I, at least me personally, when I run these kind of sites in Afterburners, you'll also see this in my T6 runs as well, is that I just do a little bit of a tactical approach. Like, I don't go for every single one without just like religiously, but I go to them if it's possible. If it's possible, I go for them. If it's like a convenient placement, then I'll go for them. And you do get some nice ISK from these extraction nodes, especially in the T4 to T6. The T4, T5, T6, you start to get pretty significant ISK from these extraction nodes. In T3 and below, it's really, I don't find it to be worth it. You hardly get anything from these extraction nodes. But when it comes to T4, T5 and T6, I noticed that the ISK starts to become significant and at least feels worthwhile for my time to go for them. Okay, let's pop this thing right here. Keep getting the drones in this yellow one, because that guy is targeting my drones. And when I was talking about significant ISK, that was nothing right there. 100k ISK, hardly anything. But that's just the way it is. Everything is a bit of an RNG fest here in the Abyss. You could get by here with a lot less skills than I have. Me personally, I have pretty good skills, but you could get by with a lot less skills. Like you can see here, my tank is not even going like below 50%, and we're sitting here at like 70% almost all the time. We've got best recharge at 30%, so we're coming nowhere close to maximizing our tank. In fact, I could, if I wanted to, just remove this shield power relay, but I'm just using this just to be a little bit extra safe, just to make this a little bit more relaxing. But I could go for a triple drone damage amplifier and make it even faster. But I sometimes notice that the time it takes for me to get my afterburner, slow afterburner, to buy adaptive cache, I can sometimes just kill stuff before I'm even there, so I don't feel like it's too big of a need to have extra DPS. But it would be nice to, obviously kill stuff quicker, because if you kill stuff quicker, you'll then have less DPS in the field for a less amount of time. You'll probably then it'll act like a defense. The offense will act as a defense, because you will kill stuff quicker, they will not be able to kill you. So we can just switch here, but I just prefer to go with a little bit of an extra tanky right here, because we do get a very hefty increase in our recharge per second from that one shield power relay right there. It's really nice. Let's pop this, my adaptive cache right here. Pop this, give me good loot, please. No, it's 9 million. Okay, that's all right, but still, it could be better, especially if we get the nice filaments and nice mutaplasmids. You can sometimes get some good mutaplasmids too. You can see here, we'll give it unstable large shield extent, I think it was. You can see this one right here. You can get this sometimes, 80 million right there, just like that. So there's a lot of good loot to be had in these T4 sites, and you'll just get more and more the higher tier of sites you go up on, like T5, etc. You'll get a lot more. A possibility to do, I've not now done extensive testing with this, but with like a higher tier, I have done extensive testing with this T4 in the T4s, but I think an idea would be, if you want to go to T5s, what you can do is you could buy some of these Nirvana implants, put them in, and you should be able to just basically use this in T5s, because I often finish this with plenty of time left. Like you can see here, I'm finishing this in 13 minutes. This was a bit slower. I wasted a bit of time in that first wave traveling to the extraction node, but I've many times completed this in like 10 minutes, sometimes even less if I was lucky, you know. But of an average, I would say 10 to 12 minutes, somewhere in between there is my average time for doing these sites, these T4 gammas. But either way, there we go, an easy T4 gamma fit for you guys who want to get into a little bit of the higher tier abyss, a bit of tired, maybe you maybe be a bit tired of T3, etc., a T3 or below. You want to get into a little bit higher filaments, and this is what I would say is a very good entry fit to just start doing, you know, the higher tier filaments. And T4, I think, is a very good bridge to do that. So you just get started there, and you can earn some pretty good ISK in a pretty relaxing manner as well. And you're doing it in the safety or relative safety of highsec. Just keep in mind, people do like to gank you sometimes, but we're not in an extremely expensive fit, so people, they tend to gank T5 and T6. T4s, sometimes people do get ganked, but it's not at all as frequent as T5 and T6. Either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video right here. If you did, or if you found it helpful, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.